In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a bill of lading in Microsoft Word for truckers who carry containers. At least that's what I think this bill of lading is for. I did this personally a few months ago, but I'm going to recreate it from scratch. I may not get everything exactly the same as it is in this one, but at least you'll get the idea. The first thing we'd want to go with is a new page. So let's go up here to our ribbon menu and we click File, New, and we need a new blank document. Of course, always remember to save first, even if you're using a laptop. So we'll go back up to File. In the ribbon menu, we come down to Save As, and we would just put this in a popular place like the My Documents folder. So we click Browse. I'm using Word 365, by the way. If you're using another type of Microsoft Word, the features are really kind of similar and the movements are like a no-brainer thing. Now we will come to Documents and we'll name the file Cam Trucking. And we'll click Save. So what we'll be doing is that we'll be switching in between the two documents, because of course I won't remember everything I did from memory. Now, the first thing we'd want to do is to start typing. Never in Microsoft Word put a table before you type. If you put the table or insert a table before you start typing, it gives you hell. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who has experienced this, but I always suggest that you start typing first. So you're going to start with the name of the document. In all caps, I'm going to put Bill of Lading. Now, I like to type everything out, insert stuff before I start formatting. So I won't drop the logo in and all of that jazz until I'm done putting all the information in. So we're going to press enter twice and we're going to come back here and we're going to do some counting. So we need rows to accommodate these words: driver, shipper, address, city, container, number, shipper date, time in, time out, signature, the declaration, and we need the driver signature. So let's count how many rows we'll be needing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is how I always do tables. But why I'm counting this entire row as 2 rows, like this entire box as 2 rows, is because I'm sure I made an invisible line. Like if you could see the little arrow there, for those who are familiar with Microsoft Word, this arrow here means that some form of line of a table is there and I just made it invisible. So we need 11 rows by 2 columns. So this is a column and this is a column. Don't worry about these columns in between for now because we're going to put those in afterwards. So let's just worry about the main frame of the table. So let's go back over to our document that we're creating. My border is thinner than the border that I have here. When I'm making these type of documents, you always need as much space as you can, because if we go back to the original document, you'll see that I placed 2 bill of ladings on 1 letter size page so that when it's printing, you could save on page or size. It's not a lot of information. So what I did, I actually increased the border size, and to do that I go to layout, I click margins and I go to custom margins, and I always use 0.5. Right now it's an inch. 1 inch or 1 with those double uplifted commas usually means that over here the document is 1 inch from the edge of the page, right? So the border is 1 inch broad, but what we want is an half of an inch or something a little over 1 cm. No, 0.5 is a half of an inch. So when it extends, it's going to be about here. This word bill of lading is going to come all the way about here, and it usually works for every type of printer, even inkjet printers, and you get more space. So I'm going to change all of those for top, bottom, left, and right. I'm going to change them to 0.5. And you have to do these things before you put your table in, especially if it's going to be a fixed width column. It's going to be held to change it, so I always make these adjustments first. So now we're going to go back and we're going to put our table back in. So we're going to go to insert in the ribbon menu. We're going to go to table, insert table. We're going to take out the number 5. It's already highlighted. All you have to do is type the number 2, and for the number of rows, it's 11 rows, and I'm going to click OK. As you could see, your table is broader, it matches the width of the page, and now you have a smaller border. So that's just a tip for those who seem to can't get enough space when working in Microsoft Word for a certain document, right? Because your borders are too thick. Alright, let's go back to the original document. So the first 3 lines will have driver shipper address on one end. I mean, I could like copy these over, but I'm just doing this for the sake of this tutorial. Driver shipper address. And then the next column has equipment number, consignee, and address. So we're going to type equipment Alright, so now we get to the tricky part. These 2 rows with city and container, the column spacing, it's a bit different. So now we're going to draw some lines in to create our columns. Now before we draw our lines in, let's draw the lines in first. So let's go ahead. I'm going to draw a line in here and draw a line in here. Now this line comes all the way down to the second row, right? So we're going to come back across. We're going to go to insert table, and we're going to draw our table in, right? Now if you notice, a pencil has now replaced the mouse cursor, right? And it's going to come about here, and this is the 3rd row. So we're going to start from the 3rd row and then draw the line down to the 4th row, and we're going to come like about in the middle here. So we're going to click, hold, and drag. See how easy that was, right? Now there's a second line in the 3rd row, but it doesn't extend to the 4th row, right? So we're only drawing this line and making another column in the 4th row. So we're going to click, drag, and hold. Let go. Remember, we have to let go also, right? See how it's coming together? Then we're going to go back here, right? And we're going to type city, state, and zip. Now you don't need a big section for state because most states are just initialized, like New York would be NY, PA, or Pennsylvania would be PA. You know, California would be CA, right? Your zip is just 5 numerals. So the name of the city is usually spelled out, I should say. And we're going to come back here. I'm going to type city, state, zip. Alright, so city, and I have my all caps on. City, colon, then we go into our next column, state, colon, and then our zip, colon. Now let's go back to the document and see how the other side of the column looks. We need city, state, zip again for the consignee section, right? So we're going to come over here and we're going to do the exact same thing with the lines that we did for over here. Now we're going to come up back to insert, click the down arrow on table, and we're going to click draw. Now we're going to come about in the middle here This is the third row. Click hold, and we're going to take it all the way down to the fourth row, and we're going to let go. And we're going to do the same thing in the third row, but just for the third row only. We're going to click hold, drag, and let go. We're going to take off the draw table option so that we could get back our typing cursor up here. We're going to click there. So we have city, colon. I'm going to click in the next column. You could see the cursor is blinking there. State and zip. Or you could have just copied it from over here and put it over here, but I don't want to make this video technical, especially for persons who are not too au fait with using Microsoft Word. And let's go back to our original document. Now if you look at the fourth row, you'll see that in the middle here the line is missing. It's gone, right? So we're going to take this line out, and then we're going to type container number, seal number, and chassis number. Let's come back and take this little line out here in the fourth row, or I should say in the fourth row. We have to come up to ribbon menu, and because you have to ensure that you selected your table. Let's deselect the table, and you look up here, you're going to see that everything for our tables has disappeared. So let's select the table or touch it, ensure that you clicked on it. We're going to layout, and then we're going to come down here to eraser. So we're not drawing now, we're going to erase the table. This section here is a section we want to get rid of. And how I did that was by clicking, holding, and letting go, and it took it away. But you have to ensure that it's highlighted. Let me undo that. Let me go to home, undo, and come back. My eraser option is still there. Now you have to ensure you click, hold, and you could do like a bunch of series, a bunch of cells and stuff, but I just want here. So where you see the black highlight show up, that's where it's going to erase. You let go, it erases it. Now we need to deselect the eraser tool because we're going to do some typing now. Let's go back to the original document. In this row, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the fifth row, or the row with red, we're going to do container number, seal number, chassis number, right? Next, this part is pretty easy apart from the coloring, and whoever asked me to do this section, they wanted the BOL to have colors with their logo that's red and this royal blue type of color. So that's why I have this gray section here. So we'll still do all of that, but I'll do like different ones so you could see which one suits you best. So now we're going to put in the shipper date, the time in, time out, and the signature. The sixth row is going to have shipper date, time in, time out, signature. Now this time I'm not going to type it over, I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to copy this, copy, I'm going to come over here to the next column, and I'm going to paste, right? Makes our work easier. Now we're going to move on to this section where we have I hereby declare that the contents of this consignment, etc., etc. Now to get this section like that, the second to last line is where the bulk of the information will go. So we want to make that into one column. So we'll go to layout, eraser, and we'll erase just that one thing. So now it's one column. We'll come back over here to the original document and we'll copy and paste because I'm not about to have you watch me type all of that. So I'll come here and I'll paste everything over, and then for this last line, right, I'll type in driver signature and date, right? So all cap, driver signature, date. Now I don't want this middle line, this dividing line, to be shown. It can be, you could leave it, but I want to take away this dividing line here and then this middle line here. So in doing that, I'll come out into my margin, and when my white arrow shows up, I'll click once on this row. As you can see, the row is highlighted, and then I'll come to table design. I'll come down to borders. Now this works just like, what would you say, you know, like in Excel you could take out certain lines. You're not taking the lines out, you're just making them white or invisible. So I want the top line to be out of there, right? So I'll come down to the second one that says top border. I'll click and it's invisible. It's still there. Like if you hover over the mouse pointer and this comes up, it indicates that it's still there. Now I need to get rid of this little guy here, right? So in doing that, I'll come back here, right? I'll do the same thing. Just let me highlight this one, driver signature, this last left cell, and I'll come back up to borders under the table design tab, and I'll click right border, right? And there we go. How easy is that? So this is it. Like, you could leave it like this, plain old Jane or Joe, right? If you're Joe or Jane, or we could just put some color into it. No, I kind of like the font and stuff. Right now it's at 11. I'll probably put it to like a size 10 because these forms are usually what would you call it, the writing is very small, right? So we'll click this little icon here on that represents highlighting the entire table. We click it once and we'll go up here to font size. I will take it down a notch. We'll take it down to 10. I kind of like the font for driver and shipper and so forth, the ones that are in all cap, but I don't like the one that says I hereby, right? So let's use something like Calibri Light. Now where it says I hereby and the line on top of there, it looks too close, so I'll just press enter to bring it down some more. If we want, we could like highlight it and we could go to like paragraph and we could choose 1.5 lines. No, that's too much. Let's go back to paragraph, and then we could choose single lines. Yeah, that looks much better. Much better. Bill of lading goes in the middle, so we're gonna highlight that by click dragging and holding, and we're gonna center that, like coming to the home tab, then coming to center that. We could make it bold, like you could bold it, you could make it bigger. I'll just leave it bold. The logo, let me come back here. I'll click the logo. Usually when you import a logo, it doesn't come the way that this is formatted. I actually put a wrap around this logo and I'm going to show you. So let me just copy it from here. I'll copy. Let me just right click, copy, and then I'll come across and I'll right click and I'll paste. It kind of came across funny, I don't know why, but let me just show you what I'll do in this case. So I'll right click on the image, I'll come down to wrap text, and I'll choose in front of text, right? So what this does is this places the image in front of the text. So you can move this image to like anywhere on the page and it won't budge anything, it won't shift anything around. So now I'll drag it and I'll bring it up here, right on top of it. And that's if you have a logo. Let's come back to the document and see what's happening here. So everything I put in bold, everything except this hereby I declare, the email address and phone number. So let's come back over here. We're going to select everything except this I hereby declare because it came across just as is. We'll go up to the home tab and we'll come across to bold and we'll make everything bold. Now we'll come across to the signature and the date, driver signature and date. All we do is come out into the margin. We wait until this arrow here pops up. We'll click, right, selecting the entire row, and then we'll come back to home in the ribbons menu and bold. Right, now we'll come to the end of the document, and that is clicking outside of the table because this is going to go on the outside of the table. We'll press enter, and as you could see on the original document here, we have the email and we have the phone number. Right, we'll come back. We're going to put email in all caps. Email is cam1z@hotmail.com, and then we'll tab across telephone, one 496354226. You'll see where the date and the telephone number is aligned. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now there's a more formal way to do this, but I'm just going to use space and space it out until it is aligned. And let's go back down to the email. We want to get rid of the hyperlink that is attached to the email. For those who won't understand what that is, hyperlink is when you hover over a document like this and this hand comes up. It means you could click it and like it will take you to the email box, or it will take you to a website or something. So we want to get rid of that. So we right click and we'll click remove hyperlink, and that's removed. Right, now we're going to go to the color scheme. I originally had used a different color scheme, but he was saying he was talking about some technical stuff as to why he wanted it in this color scheme. I'm not going to get into that because that's not important, but I want to show you something real quick. If you select the table and you come up to table design and you come down here, press the down button, the down arrow, you could get like an array of color schemes and designs here. Like, let me click one, let me deselect, and I'll just show you. It's just so fantastic. But he had his reasons why he didn't want it this way, and I really had wanted to do it like that, and plus he didn't like the color scheme too. So I was like, okay, let me do it the way that you want it to do. So you can do that. Like, you could just come here, select the entire table, click on this little icon here, select the entire table, come up to table design, you click the down arrow, and you could choose. Like, you could just go through and choose anything that you want, whatever works for you. But we're not going to do that now. So we're going to undo and undo, and we're going to do it exactly the way that he had it. So let's go back here. Now the first 4 rows were blank, and the rows in between with color schemes, this was like a hot red and this was like a navy blue. So let's go back and do that. And then there were some lines here, so let me just put space. I'm gonna press shift on my keyboard and I'm going to hold down the, what do you call it, the dash button or the minus button. You have to ensure you're holding down shift to do that. If you don't know how to do that, just let me know in the comments and I'll just do a detailed video on how you get to put a line and shift. So we're going to do that throughout the entire document for these 4 lines only. Right, now if you make the line too long, of course it's going to drop down into the next line. So when that happens, you just backspace and we're going to backspace, right? So we have our lines. Now let's copy this again because we didn't do that initially. I forgot. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to paste. Now, if you look back at the original document, there's a lot more space in here. So we're going to create some spacing by selecting these 4 rows, right? We'll go to the Home tab in the ribbon menu and we'll go to Paragraph, the arrow beside it. And we'll come down to the line spacing. I'm going to choose 1.5 lines. The line between this and the line between shipper date, it's just too far apart. So let's just select that. We're going to go to Paragraph, and then where line spacing is, we're going to select at least, and where the at is, this determines how our lines will look. Now before I change the at, right, the number beneath there, we're going to click OK. I'm going to see what it looks like, right? So this is what it looks like right now. It looks a bit too close, right? So let's go back in there, and we're going to take it up to maybe 30. Maybe 30 is too much. I'm going to click OK, and we get more space. See? That looks pretty neat. We're going to do some coloring. So let's come here. We click the row with the container and so forth. And we're going to come up to Table Design. And we're going to shade it red. So click Shade, the drop down menu, and red. Now if you deselect this, you'll see where the writing is just too black or dark for the color red. So we're going to click that row again. We're going to come to Home, and we're going to go to change the font here. So it's going to be white. Now this section, the shipper date, time in, time out, and signature, we're going to select those, click, select, drag, hold. And we're going to go back to Table Design, shading. We're going to choose like this royal blue. This is a deep royal blue. That's pretty deep. Let's go into more colors and choose something that's not so deep. I'm going to click OK. And we're not going to deselect this because I already showed you what to do with the red section, right? We're going to go to Home. We're going to come across to the font, and it's going to be white. We can deselect. Now, we need to put like a lighter shade around the line so that they could write, right? So we're going to click, hold, and select the entire line, right? And we're going to come up to Home, and then we're going to go down to Shading, and we're going to choose I see they have gray here, right? For some reason, for the highlighter, they don't have, well, you can't highlight white. That makes perfect sense. Alright, so we're going to change everything here, all the lines. Remember, we're only selecting the underline, right? Which is kind of tricky. I don't know why. Yeah, only the underline, and we're going to select. Yeah, I should have probably done all of this first before I copied and pasted it over, because now I'm having to do the same thing again, wasting my time. But let's click and hold from shipper date, come all the way to the end of the underline for signature. We're going to right click, we're going to copy, we're going to come over here, right? Ensure you highlight everything and you paste, right? I use my keyboard shortcut to paste. You could right click and paste. It's up to you. By now you should be okay with everything. Now that we have everything, we don't have everything exactly because we still need to put the driver signature and the X, not colon. So let's take out those colons and we're going to insert X. Now this is you could either go into symbols and do this, but I just use the easy way. On your keyboard, you're going to press cap lock and you're just going to type letter X. And you could like select it by clicking and hold. You go up to the home button, home tab, come up here, and you could change the sizing, right? So you could take it to like 14. And then you could copy it as it's already highlighted. You copy and you come across the date, you take out that colon, you put a space, you right click, and you paste. And everything looks as if it's ready to go. So now we're going to select from the top, right, from the logo to the end of the phone number. We're going to right click, we're going to copy, we're going to come down into a new line, we're going to press enter twice, right? We're going to right click and we're going to paste. So now it fits 2 on a page. For this section, if you could see here, I have like a dotted line. I honestly don't remember how I got this one in, but for this one, we're just going to insert it. So let's go to insert on the ribbon menu, and we're going to come across to shapes. We're going to go to lines. We're going to click and drag all the way to the end. Ensure that line is straight. If your hand is too wobbly, it's going to be slanted. Now when you click and draw that line, the shape format tab bar pops up on the ribbon menu, and you could do several things with this. Example, you could make the line a bit thicker by coming to shape outline, click shape outline, it's going to drop down. Now the weight, let's make it a bit thicker, just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. And then we're going to go to dashes. We want it to be a bit dashed for perforation, so maybe we could choose that one. Select, and right now it's blue. Let's make it black. Go back to shape outline, and color would be black. Oh my gosh, I actually put this in the wrong place. Couldn't you guys say something to me? Anyway, so all we have to do is hover over the mouse until this symbol comes up here with the arrows, east, west, north, and south. We click, we hold, we drag, and we could take it anywhere that we want to take it in. And that's how you create a BOL for trucking of truckers who carry containers in Microsoft Word. Feel free in hitting the subscribe button and hitting the notification bell so that every time I drop a new video, you'll be the first to know. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye now.